How's it going, folks? Recording another Best Ball Puppy2 video here. This is the second one of these I'm recording. I think this is the 20th one that I've done. So, a few things to talk about in the best ball world. We got the 101 here, so we'll be taking Christian McCaffrey. So one of the major changes that we've seen in the landscape over the past, week or so with the Puppy2 is a lot more casual drafters in, which has caused quite the stir in QBs. Like the ADPs are kind of wild and all over the place. The other thing to keep in mind is that like Dak Prescott has fallen a ton due to concerns over his shoulder. And I think you should really, really, really take advantage of this buying opportunity. Like, obviously, it cannot work out and you can be lighting your $5 on fire. But if it does work out, it is a fantastic bet to be making. So we're going to take McCaffrey at the 101. One thing I would recommend doing that I finally did a couple drafts ago was having a draft where you pair up Christian McCaffrey with Alexander Mattison. Because if something happens to Dalvin Cook, you get like the extra separation between CMC and like the next person, because we kind of consider like CMC, and then CMC and Dalvin Cook, not necessarily like even, but in a tier above everyone else. So if Dalvin Cook were to go down, right, now you get a bigger advantage there. Plus you get Madison jumping up and becoming relevant. So I am trying to get CMC and Madison together on a couple teams. So basically, I'm trying to only draft 4 running backs. So keep that in mind as well. So I'm trying to have like CMC, 2 other reasonably decent options, and then Madison. I'm going to try to just do the same with Dalvin Cook and Chuba Hubbard, but I don't really seem to get pick 2 ever. Dalvin Cook has never fallen past, that was a lie. He has fallen 1 time past pick 2 to me. I had pick 3 once I got Dalvin Cook. But I'm still underweight on Dalvin Cook. I think I'm around 5%, but I mean, I can't complain about that too much because I'm at like 14% Christian McCaffrey. So you get what you get. I would hope to get another Dalvin Cook at some point, though, before this Puppy2 fills, because probably only doing $5 contests from this point on. And so, with all these casual drafters in, quarterbacks have been going all over the place. Really makes it harder to stack. Your stacks are getting busted up more often. So one of the things I've been doing to combat this is trying to make decisions if it's close between 2 players, to pick a player where their quarterback is still on the board like later in the draft. That way you have a chance to stack later on. So, like, for example, I used to take Cooks over Waddle. Right now, with what's going on, I'm taking Waddle over Cooks. Not too concerned about the ankle thing going on with Waddle right now because, Tua will be available later, and there's nobody on Houston that I want to draft as a quarterback. Another example would be Bateman versus Elijah Moore. I'm taking Elijah Moore right now because, unless I already have Lamar, obviously, then I'll take Bateman. But I usually don't have Lamar, so I'm taking Elijah Moore because it opens up the Zach Wilson stack later on in case some of these random casual players just snatch your QB away with no stack pieces. It's kind of annoying that CeeDee Lamb went this far ahead. kind of interested to see what we have available for us at the turn. Justin Jefferson suffered a mild AC joint sprain, so I think he's been falling a little bit. Does go before us here. Definitely going to take. I could take like Najee, Clyde Edwards, and go for a hyper fragile Christian McCaffrey build. I'm not going to do that though. I'm just going to take Keenan Allen as one of my 2 picks and then kind of make up my mind. I both have Najee and Clyde teams at the turn. I really don't like taking Terry McLaurin over those guys. I don't mind taking Kittle over them, but I have a ton of Kittle. So it's between Clyde and Najee. I talk shit about Clyde all the time, and I don't draft him very much. So I'll take a share of Clyde. I've talked a lot of shit about how I don't think he's very talented, and I basically think he's like Devin Singletary, just in a good situation. One of the reasons why I don't really like him is I just don't think he's an explosive player. Like his senior year, his last year at LSU when they had the god offense that destroyed all of college football, the guy had 70 catches or something, didn't have a single 30-yard reception. He just isn't explosive. I don't think he offers much at the goal line. But, he is in Kansas City. I think he's more like Spencer Ware, Damian Williams, Kansas City back than he is, Kareem Hunt or Jamal Charles. I think he's pretty mediocre, but I can be wrong, right? So I'm still getting some shares, and I do have at least one other share with Christian McCaffrey, but I haven't really been drafting that lately. We'll see what happens at the 4-5 turn. There is still a chance I go with 3 running backs if, Darrell Henderson were to be there at the 3-4 turn. If not, I'm probably going to try to wait a while at running back. Wow, George Kittle is going insanely late in this draft. This is weird. Did George Kittle get hurt or something? Is there something I don't know about? Huh. Doesn't appear to be. Ooh, I think this guy just... Kelsey Kittle. Yeah, I really, really don't like bully tight end. I kind of finally dug into the numbers on it, and they were... I do actually have 2 bully tight end teams myself, which is where, you draft 2 of the top 6 tight ends. I have a Kittle team where Mark Andrews fell to me in the 7th and was the best value on the board, and I have a Kyle Pitts Mark Andrews team or something like that. So I have 2 teams where I drafted 2 top 6 tight ends. I just wouldn't do it anymore after looking more into the numbers. I think it is quite bad. Points blocking yourself is a real issue. I watched a video today with Hayden Winks where he talked about, at wide receiver, the most wide receivers you want in rounds 1 through 10 is 6. And then he had some pretty good data to back it up that once you hit wide receiver 7, winning percentages were going way down. So everyone's super into the 0 RB build and getting every single wide receiver they can. I would caution you to keep track of that information. The fact that if you take 7 wide receivers in your first 10 picks, it is a known negative win percentage play. And it makes sense because you really start point blocking yourself a lot, right? At 6, you've got, 4 spots that you're filling, so you're only having 2 guys kind of rotate in. But once you hit number 7 out of 10 rounds, you're just getting too many blocks in on yourself. Nice that I'll be able to get a wide receiver that's not by week 7 of this pick. Darrell Henderson goes to that guy at 4-9. We were going to be interested in Henderson if he made it to us. I think now we're likely just going to go wide receiver, or wide receiver Kyle Pitts. Not sure if I have Pitts on a Christian McCaffrey team. Something I'll consider if he makes it to us. I have a chance to double tap the 2 Bengals receivers. I'm not going to give that up. So, no, I'm just going to take the 2 Bengals receivers. I'm going to open myself up for a nice Burrow stack. Forgo the value that we got there on Chris Godwin. Just it's really, really, really hard to get both Bengals wide receivers, so it's kind of like a unique build at this point. Especially in the Puppy2, it's like almost impossible to get them both on the same team. So even though like I think Godwin was an equally as good to maybe better pick, like I wasn't gonna create a stack with Godwin that was unique, whereas I'm creating kind of a unique stack by getting Chase and Higgins if I can get Burrow, which, not guaranteed in these draft rooms, that's for sure. But we're going to at least make an attempt to get Burrow. So, liking our start here quite a bit. McCaffrey, Clyde, Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. So far, the Bengals' offense has been kind of a disaster, according to reports, but, super early. So, we have not even played a real preseason game yet. We've just played the Hall of Fame game. So let's relax a little bit on who's good and bad in camp. See him out there at least competing for real before making those decisions. So we could leave ourselves open to a 4 running back Madison build where we try to double up on get lucky with a Dalvin Cook injury and then, create that space between McCaffrey and the next running back, plus also gain in having Madison. So the 2 Bengals receivers falling to that turn just kind of made me only want to choose that. Like, it was just going to be such a hard thing to have happen in these drafts, and to have it happen this time was fantastic. Really thrilled with the start. Even if we don't get Burrow, it's all right. We also have quite a few pieces to a game stack for Week 17 between the Chiefs and the Bengals. So could maybe look to pick up a McCole Hardman later on. Although he's a little tough to get. I find that he tends to go what feels like a decent amount before his ADP. After McCole Hardman, I'm really just not that interested in the other wide receivers for Kansas City. I have some interest in them only in the last couple of rounds, and then only if I have Patrick Mahomes. I think Robinson's like a better choice than Pringle, but neither excites me very much. Still 12 picks away. Really good shape here. So, yeah, I do think it's time to start taking Darrell Henderson around 4 if you can. That appears to be the new ADP. And I think it'll actually still creep up. It started at round 5 in the Puppy2. Now it's round 4. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to like early 4, maybe even late 3. Around, I think he'll end up ahead of Montgomery for ADP, probably still behind Dobbins and Swift, depending on what happens with Swift's injury. So far, it doesn't sound like anything that we need to be too concerned about. So running backs are all kind of available, just the usual. Still definitely don't mind getting Clyde. Like I said, this guy I don't take very often. And just so happened to work out that the Bengals guys fell to the turn for us to create a little game stack. Maybe the Chiefs whoop up on the Bengals Week 17. Clyde scores a bunch of points, and then the Bengals are passing a ton to try to catch up, creating a bunch of points for Chase and Higgins. I do tend to avoid the triple wide receiver stack with QB. I really think that in the playoff weeks, you're kind of playing more DFS-y type contests where you don't want to like limit your ceiling by having 3 pass catchers for the same quarterback. And I think it's especially bad Week 17, which is, the most important week. Week 15 and 16, it's like, But week 17, I think, is definitely bad, and really got to take like every measure you can to like fight the good fight in week 17. Glad Boyd gets taken ahead of us, so that's not even something we have to consider or worry about whatsoever. Quite a few good options at running back. People are just unleashing on the wide receivers. Let's take a look at wide receiver. I still like Juju and Antonio Brown quite a bit. We're definitely not going to get McCole Hardman because that would be, I think, a bit too much of a reach here at the turn. Don't love Devonta Smith here. Definitely like Juju, so I guess we'll go there. Tight end, there's like nothing we're going to take here. Running back, there's like Mike Davis, Gaskin, and Javonte. QB. Could take Herbert to go with Keenan Allen. I don't really want to do that. I'm going to take Antonio Brown. Really like the upside of Antonio Brown playing a full season with Brady. One of the reasons why I'm just like not a huge fan of taking Mike Evans or Godwin at their ADPs. Like, I feel like Antonio Brown can be the best of the three, and he's so much cheaper. At running back, I feel like we're just like in really good shape with these two guys, and I feel like the next go around there'll be players that I'm happy to be taking at running back. Devonta Smith was like the only other wide receiver I was really interested in at the turn, and obviously with his injury situation, it's a little tough to be taking him that early right now. You really got to like have him fall to you at value. So we did have to take those two wide receivers about 6 picks ahead of ADP, but that's not too disastrous because now we can just kind of chill. We're not like under the gun to take any wide receivers at this point. Hate being on the turn and having to wait so long to pick. It stinks. So Juju's a guy I like quite a bit more than consensus. I mean, last year he like stunk and still produced a top 20 season. So if that's going to be his like shitty season, I'm cool with top 20. Wide receiver. I think he had like 17 points less than AJ Brown when he sucked. AJ Brown battled injuries, missed some games, I believe 1 or 2 games or something like that. So, I mean, it wasn't like Juju was amazing or anything. He had a down year, but just saying, like his down year that was perceived as so terrible, like really wasn't that terrible. Running backs are flying now. We're still 12 picks away, so we're probably not going to get Herbert or McCole Hardman. I will be tempted to reach for Burrow in this draft because, like, reaching sucks and getting bad value on your pick sucks. But when you're on the ends, like pick 1 and pick 12, you really like. If you want to make something happen, you have to be mindful of the fact, there's like 20 something picks before you pick again. So you're just kind of forced to eat shit at ADP a bit. There really isn't much you can do about it. I'm fine with taking like a running back this go around, and I'm fine with also not. I think if we're not, then we're going to try for 4 RB build and get Madison to go for the please Dalvin Cook get hurt and extra help my Christian McCaffrey share. If we take her, okay, that was probably the guy I was most interested in if I was going to stop at 3 running backs, was Michael Carter. Wouldn't be as comfortable stopping at 3 with Damian Harris. So we're at 5 wide receivers in the first 7 rounds. So kind of we only want to be taking 1 in the next 3 rounds or so. So we only get 6 in the top 10. Like I said, the Hayden Winks video showed that taking more than 6 wide receivers in the first 10 rounds was quite poor for your win percentage. Doesn't mean it always has to be wrong, though. Every draft is like its unique thing. Oof. So that's what I'm talking about. There goes Joe Burrow, like not even close to the top of the queue, and nothing you can do about it. So when we make our next picks, we're going to have to keep in mind that we want to leave open late stack options. What else does it change for us? Not a whole lot. We're definitely only going to go with 4, maximum of 4 running backs. So Herbert's off. That closes us off from Keenan Allen. So we are pretty much dead in the water when it comes to stacking. So, like I said, please God, hoping this guy does not take Elijah Moore, because that would stink. Whoa, that was just brutal. So, like, really the only thing we have to create, like, a late stacking option at this point is, like, Mooney. Oh, boy, is that not good. I guess we can open up late stacking options, like, later on. Should probably take Harris or Mostert here. I have like a ton of Mostert that I took early on. So do we really want to take Darnell and Mooney to open up the field stack? Or do we want to take like Corey Davis to open up Carr stack? I'll take Mooney this time. I think this is going to be my 3rd by week 10 guy, so not something super important, but we should probably keep a little eye on that. So we got devastated that round by the quarterbacks that went. I was not expecting to get Herbert, so that one didn't hurt as much, but I was definitely expecting to have a chance to get Burrow. This is going to be an interesting draft now. I'm kind of glad that happened because it's going to get us. You'll get to see, like, in action what I was just talking about, like how these weird random. You get screwed by people taking your quarterbacks and then have to make some sort of adjustment later on because they're just going so wildly randomly. So, I mean, we're not going to get a chance to draft Brady. We probably will get a chance to draft Justin Fields, I'm guessing, at our next pick. As far as running back goes, I think we're like done, other than like I'm going to try to shoot to get Alexander Madison. And then like if we miss him, that's fine. I'll just take another running back in that range, or I don't have to, like I can just keep with these 3 and do a super duper hyper fragile. This is could be like a 3-3-3-9 build. That's possible. Tight ends have also been going like way, way later in these drafts than usual. They're like falling super, super far. See, this guy had 7 wide receivers in his first 8 picks. Like I said, that video definitely made me a little leery of that. If we take a wide receiver at the turn, we'll be taking, 7 and 11. So it's not that much better than 7 and 10. But we might do it. We do have the advantage of, having CMC, and we've made a bet that Clyde will be good. So still reeling a bit from that Burrow pick, I'm not going to lie. 'Tis what it is. Try not to make too many plans too far ahead here. Was kind of hoping that maybe I could sneak Marvin Jones into Trevor Lawrence at the end of at the turn. I'm pretty surprised if we get snaked on Justin Fields, but anything's possible at this point, right? So I guess you could also make the same bet with Tony Pollard that we're trying to make with Madison there. I've already made it once with Madison. Be interesting to make it with Pollard. The reason why I don't like it as much with Pollard is I feel like the difference between CMC and Zeke is already like very, very big. So you're not gaining that like extra edge of having like the number 2 guy go down and having that bigger gap to number 3. Quarterbacks are just going to go like insane in these drafts. Pollard off the board, so that's something we don't have to worry about. Oh my god. You have to be shitting me. Please tell me this guy has Allen Robinson. Well, we got Brady, which I definitely did not think was going to happen. So happy with that. We have a quarterback that we have a stack piece for somehow. It has happened. So we could take like Gus Bus. We could take a tight end. We could take Rondell. So here's where we're going to make one of those decisions. So why did I just take Gesicki over Robert Tonyan? Because I can't get Aaron Rodgers, but I could get Tua. And for me, they're not like super far apart. I would a little bit rather have Tonyan now with the Rodgers back, but might even end up with Evan Ingram in this draft. And if you know me at all, you know that I hate Evan Ingram with every fiber of my being. So I'm not hating our team. I'm not hating it. We've got Brady to go with Antonio Brown at least. I think we got kind of lucky there. Like I would rather have had Brady than Fields, I think. Like Brady's gonna throw for a ton of yards and 40 touchdowns. Fields, we don't really know what's gonna go on with him. Also got Brady 15 picks after ADP. Well, you're getting to see the shit show of just like how quarterbacks are just like all over the place. The only poor part about a Gesicki stack with Tua is, we're pretty much all done because the wide receivers are all gone for Tua. Don't know what's going on with Ryan Tannehill not being taken when there's 15 or whatever, 17 quarterbacks off the board. That confuses me. So, say we wanted Zach Wilson. What's left for him? We got Crowder. Let's take a look at quarterback. So, Tua, we've got a stack piece for. Kirk Cousins, there's a chance you could still get Irv Smith. Baker, there's a chance you could still get Hooper. Daniel Jones, you can get tons of pieces for. Like, all of the non-Galladay pieces go late. With taking Brady, I'm tempted to only take 2 quarterbacks. I think we'll be able to take 3 tight ends this build because we're going to only take 2 quarterbacks. We're only going to take 4 running backs at the most. We could kind of stop at running back if we want to. So that's like at most 6. 3 tight ends would be 9. That would leave us 9 wide receivers. And I think, considering that we had, 6 wide receivers pretty early in the first 10 rounds, that we can, definitely hang with 9. Doesn't mean I kind of want to avoid by week 10, which is something to keep in mind. So maybe I don't really want to take Daniel Jones and like Evan Ingram. I don't mind 4 by week 7 guys as much. 4 by week 10 guys is a little bit tougher. So that means you have 3 more weeks where more shit can go wrong. I do think if you're gonna have 4 by week guys, the by week 7 is fine. But for by week 10, don't love it. Stinks because Daniel Jones is incredibly easy to stack. I'll have to reconsider when it gets to our pick. Just not that far away. Could just take Tua and kind of shut it down at quarterback. If we are going to take Madison, this doesn't have to necessarily be the round that we do it. Definitely be risking losing him if we don't take him here. Wide receiver, there's nothing on the board that I super love. Do we just want to take Tua and get out of here? Take Tua and Gronk. Well, let's start off with Tua. I'm not going to take Gronk this round. So it's, do I want Alex Madison or do I want one of these wide receivers? I don't love any of these wide receivers. So yeah, let's do it. Let's go for our little hope Dalvin Cook gets hurt and go to the moon plan there. So now we're all done at running back. We're all done at quarterback. We're only going to draft wide receiver and tight end the rest of the way. So we're making a big bet on Tom Brady crushing this year. And then maybe hoping Tua improves quite a bit. So we're going to have a long wait to pick again. Wonder if there's any interesting builds in this league. Wonder what that one guy who had 7 wide receivers super early ended up like. I think it was this guy. It's Barkley and Gus Edwards. Yeah, I think he's toast. I mean, this wide receiver group is nasty. I don't like Curtis Samuel very much myself. I feel like if Curtis Samuel, maybe that was the pick. If this was like running back, then this would probably be pretty decently well off. So we don't have to worry about getting sniped anymore on our quarterbacks. That's nice. Man, imagine if this team would have wound up with Burrow and Brady. Team would have been gross. Gross. Wouldn't have Darnell Mooney, but whatever. Yeah, Zach Wilson, round 13. Jesus Christ. I'm telling you guys, listen to the wisdom of draft guys to leave your stack up and options open, because they're going to get slammed in your face over and over again. There will be no warning. It's just like a sucker punch out of nowhere. You're not prepared. You're like, I'm taking my guy a whole half round or 8 picks above ADP. I got him locked in. And then 3 rounds before that plan was even going to happen, your guy's gone. So look out for them QBs. So what do we got left to pick? So we got, 5 picks left to make? Yeah. So we're either taking 4 wide receivers and 1 tight end, or 3 wide receivers and 2 tight ends. Slightly trying to shy away from week 10 wide receivers, which is tough because a lot of my wide receivers I like are week 10. I love Kadarius Toney and Nico Collins. I'm not completely closing the door on taking them, but like there's like a reasonably good option. Otherwise, that stinks. Gronk went before us. Another stacked piece shut out. That's all right. We at least have 1 piece for Brady and 1 piece for Tua, so I think we're going to just have to settle with that. I do like this team quite a bit. I think quarterback is, a B plus, running back an A, wide receiver probably an A minus. Tight end will probably end up with some sort of B looking grade. Cool. Oh, we're only taking tight ends and wide receivers. The only tight end on the board that I really like all that much is left is Cole Kmet, so let's say Cole Kmet. So do we want which Detroit guy do we want? I think I get Perryman the least often, so let's take Perryman. I don't have the least Perryman. I have the least Amon-Ra St. Brown. But that's because I was hard fading him earlier on. So I might grab my boy Dan Arnold a little later. I'm a big fan of his potential for this year. Really like the guy when he played for the Saints. And last year, if you just look at his stats and you see like 404, you're not that impressed. But the guy only ran a route 0.35% of the snaps. And like on almost every other team, the starting tight end would be running double that. Like Ian Thomas ran 0.75 routes per QB dropback. So more than twice what Dan Arnold ran. Does that equate to Dan Arnold automatically gets 800 yards and 8 touchdowns? Obviously not. But can you see like 600 yards and 6 touchdowns? Yes. The guy is just a monster in the red zone. So I'm pretty high on Dan Arnold. That said, I'm not like locked into picking him or anything. I like if you just put him or Austin Hooper head to head, you got to kind of take Austin Hooper because he's had a really, really good fantasy season before. But the beauty of Dan Arnold is like a lot of drafts, he's just not drafted at all. He's drafted super duper late when he is drafted. So that is the appeal to him. So the only bye week I'm sort of trying to avoid is week 10 for wide receiver. Again, I do view week 10 as significantly different than week 7. An extra month for things to go wrong is a long time in the NFL. So, for example, I might take like a KJ Hamler over Darius Slayton or something like that. I've been trying to get a lot of Fulgham. I feel like he's pretty underrated right now with the situation going on with Devonta Smith. If something were to happen where Devonta Smith is out longer than what they think, I already liked Fulgham's value just anyway before that happened, and his price like basically hasn't moved. The Giants guys' prices really haven't moved with the Galladay information either, so I've been hoovering up the Giants wide receivers as well. Because like if news, in a week or 2 weeks is bad on Galladay or Devonta Smith, then the prices are going to shoot up on those guys. Oof, still 8 picks away, my lord. These turn picks are brutal. Dwayne Eskridge is a guy I have too much of, and he's hurt right now, so I just can't take him anymore. I think I'm down to like 13%, but at one point I was at like 15 because I was taking him in the last round a ton. Tight end is pretty picked through. A guy I like if I miss out on Dan Arnold in the last rounds is Tyler Kroft. Really don't like taking Tyler Kroft if I only have 2 tight ends, but I don't mind if I have 3 tight ends. It's pretty interested in Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay, KJ Hamler back at practice. We won't take KJ Hamler, and we don't take Travis Fulgham, and then we'll take a tight end with our last pick. Tight end will more likely be Kroft because like enough people are on Dan Arnold now that he usually is. He's usually at least drafted these days. If we don't get Kroft, that would be surprising to me. I'm not quite sure what we would do then. I guess we could take Tyler Conklin. He's like reasonable. We could also just take another wide receiver if it comes down to that. Could take OJ Howard or Dawson Knox or Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst will have like a pretty good upside if something were to happen to Pitts. And he'll probably be involved in the offense regardless. That trade just looks so abominable for both teams. Like, Atlanta traded the pick that turned into Devin Duvernay for Hayden Hurst, and I'm certain that both teams would much rather have the other player. Like, Atlanta would love to have Devin Duvernay, and the Ravens would be better off if they just had Hayden Hurst. Some trades, no one wins. Devin Duvernay is just such a frustrating situation for me. I absolutely love that player. And his career is basically like ruined by the draft. Just got really unlucky. Ended up in Baltimore. Not going to get used much there. Then he's going to be 26 coming off of his rookie deal, or 25, and he's going to have like no stats to really push other teams to get him. I mean, maybe somebody will see the talent, but they're probably going to bring him in as like, wide receiver 4 or 5. So I feel like his whole career just kind of got shit on by the unluckiness of the draft and being drafted by the Ravens. All in all, I mean, when you consider the disasters that happened to us at quarterback, getting kind of sniped on Burrow and Fields and Herbert, I mean, I don't think we could have asked for this draft to work out much better when you consider those things. Like QB, love RB, pretty much love wide receiver. Tight end is whatever. Not very good, but it's got potential. I really wish like Jimmy Graham would get traded or cut or retire or something. Love Cole Kmet, but I feel like you're not going to get to see a real Cole Kmet until next year. Cole Kmet ceiling until next season. So who we got going? We've got Arnold, Croft, and then Mo Alley Cox if we get screwed on those two guys. I'm not quite there on Donald Parham. I just feel like he's kind of like a Virgil Green type guy, and they're like, yeah, they're trying to use him some, but the appeal of him is he is just like massive. Cool. I guess we'll take Arnold or Croft. Ooh, take Arnold. Sweet. All right, let's go back. Take one more look at that team, and then we'll be done. So we got Brady Tua, McCaffrey, Clyde, Damian Harris, Alex Madison, Keenan Allen, Chase Higgins, Juju, Antonio Brown, Darnell Mooney, Perryman, KJ Hamler, and Fulgham, and then Gesicki, Cole Kmet, and Dan Arnold. All right, folks, that'll do it for this one. Good luck in your draft.